Alright, so I'm getting ready to turn the stretchers, and right here on the plans is the double bobbin stretcher. And as you see, it says adjust length to fit actual chair measurement, which is what we did yesterday whenever we measured off the actual chair. And then I like my tenons super dried, so I'm going to be turning air dried stock, some air dried red oak, and I'll size the tenon a little bit large, and then I'll put it in the kiln right here for a day or two, and then I'll size it exactly to the drill bit that I'm using, and I'll probably show that. Now, one thing I saw when I got this out this morning and looked at it is that in the last film I said that these side stretchers were 1 inch and 5/8. So when I was figuring the length of the center stretcher, I needed to know that and put it at 1 inch and 5/8. And I looked at this, and it is 1 inch and 9/16. Now, you know, made this stuff up anyway, and it really doesn't matter. But I'm sure 1 inch and 9/16 looks better because that's why I got to put it on there. But it does change the length of my center stretcher by 1/16. No big deal. It would work. The chair is resilient enough to handle even discrepancy, even a little bit more than that. But back over here with my math from the last video, or maybe video before last, I'm not sure. But anyway, I've got 14 1/4 for the length of that center stretcher, but it's actually 1/16 longer than that, and so I'll add the 16th to it, and it'd be 14 and 5/16. So, okay. So let's go find some oak to get these stretchers out of. Well, so I was a little short on red oak, but I found a chunk from back. Oh, I don't know how long this has been laying out there. I think it might still be good. I know the sapwood's not good. Now, the sapwood's good when you first get the log, but then it goes bad on you. So it should be fine. I mean, it's been out there a year or two. The powder post beetles hadn't got into it. And I believe this was the one I sprayed with like borax. It's a product called Timbor, and all it is just borax. But if you spray it when you first get the log, it might keep the powder post beetles from getting in it. They're pretty bad around here. So anyway, I should be able to get 2 stretchers out of it. Here's another piece here, and I believe this one must have been laying over where the rain splashed on it while it got a little darker. This one's laying someplace else. You can see that sapwood. You can see how it's discolored and it's gone, but the heartwood probably is still real good. So I'll just split it right here. No reason taking it out to the break or anything. I think it just split just fine. Let's see what I've got here. Huh. Well, a lot tougher than what I thought. A whole lot tougher than what I thought. You would have thought that would have just popped with me, but it didn't. So I'll have to take this out to the riving brake. If you want to see the riving brake, you have to look at other videos because we're not going to move the camera out there. But I'm going to go out to the riving brake because I got to have something hold it down here to be able to leverage that, to top that. And then I'll be back with some pieces in just a minute. Okay, so I got the pieces. Now they're a lot tougher than what I thought. Just kind of, I don't know, a couple of years ago, so I can't even remember if it was that tough when it was green or not, and if it's just gotten a little tougher once it's dry. But whatever, I've got it now. And so the measurement was, for the right stretcher was 16. There's a little checking on this, on both ends. One end had a little bit more than the other, and I believe it's that one. Well, no, I believe it's both of them. So we'll just center it. Let's see, 16, Oh yeah, we got plenty of room to get rid of the checking. That's the right one, and there's the left one, and it was 16 and an 8. And then the center one, I ain't got the bark off this one yet. The center one was 14 and 5/16 because we added the 5/16. So 14 and 5/16. There we go. Okay. Then you got some of this stuff hanging off of it. Like I can throw that on the lathe right there and just round it down. But the gouge will catch some stuff like that and you come back and hit your fingers. Doesn't feel good. So sometimes I'll just take that stuff off with the hewing hatchet. I don't want to hit my bench. Oh, there we go. That's what lumber's good for. So I don't mind the corners, the lathe, just knock it right off, but it's those fibers that the gouge will catch. It'll come back and beat you up. Okay, that looks good. So I'll cut these to length. And just over on bandsaw, and then I'll come back here and center them, and then we'll mount them on the lathe. So find the center, I just kind of look and see, it's kind of crooked. It's not like finding the center of something that's square that you put on the lathe, but so I just kind of guess at it. Then we'll go over to the lathe. So I'm ready to mount the stretcher on the lathe, and as I said before, this is red oak, and for those of you who have seen me turn before, you know that I turn sugar maple almost all the time, and the reason why is it's the best. But I like the way with these double bobbin turnings, I like to spoke shave the finish on it, the surface, and then put milk paint on it, and I like the way the red oak comes through the milk paint. That's why I'm using it. But it's crude to turn. It's bad enough when it's green, but when it's dry, it's really bad stuff. So it won't come off in those nice long peelings like the maple does. But anyway, sacrifice for the look. So there's my point. And there's the point right there. Now I can just rotate it, and I've set the tool rest up at 2 inches from the center. So it's at a known spot, and so I can just measure to make sure that the piece is going to make. So I've got 7/8 there, and 7/8 there, and about 13/16 there. So I've got it pretty well centered, and I've got enough room because I know where the tool rest is and I know what I need. So that'll be enough room, and I know I'll get 1 inch and 9/16 out of it. Now I'm gonna crank this in tight, then I'll back it off just a hair there, and it ought to, let me tighten that down. Okay. And let's take it, start it out low here and see. Oh, got to turn it on down here. Oh, I got to plug it in. I had it unplugged to move it out, so let me plug the thing in. Okay, now I think we're ready. As a, but for those of you who use a pole lathe, you don't have that problem, but I do. Okay, let's see. So to start roughing it down, I always put the tool on the tool rest first. And then, you know, if you haven't done this before, reach up here and touch it, just with the bevel. Figure out where that is. And then lift it up with your right hand and engage it. And that's where you want to cut, right up at the top. Okay, I'm getting close. So if you notice with this wooden tool rest, and with it set up at the exact same distance from each center, I can use my fingers as a guide. Just run my fingers right up against it for a nice even depth. You can see it's pretty even out through there. Okay, so I'll rough down the others, and then I'll move the tool rest up, and we'll come back and I'll turn one for you. So I've got my stretcher, the right stretcher, remounted in here, and I've changed out the centers because these are much smaller, and I'm going to be turning down these ends small. So this is just a small 1/2" stub center, and this is just a live center with a cone on it. And you know, with turning on the lathe, especially getting thin stuff down, you're constantly fighting vibration, as probably a lot of you know, and you never completely control it, I don't think, or at least I don't. But my friend Tim Manny was here a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me a little trick that he does. I'll share it with you. So you know, it's pretty well known that you want the least amount of tailstock pressure possible. But how do you determine that? I never did figure that out. Well, Tim taught me to listen to the bearings engaging and being able to back it off just past the bearings engaging, and then just engage them the very slightest amount and lock it down at that point. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on the camera, but I'll move it back and forth and see if you can pick it up. But so we'll see. So let's see. So they're engaged right now. So that's not engaged, and that's engaged. So it's just a slight turn of the handle there. So I'll disengage them, and then I'll engage them just slightly, and then lock it down, and we'll go from there. So I've been playing around with it, and I don't know, it seems to help. Awful hard to determine that. This is the right stretcher, which was 16 inches. Half of that is 8. Let's check it over here on this side. 8. That's always good. So I'm going to cut the V with the skew chisel, long point of the skew. You go in with a score first. You're not cutting a thing, you're just smashing wood fibers with that. Do that up high. Do all of this up high and bring the, so start in like that and bring the chisel down low, or you can corkscrew. And then come in from the side, grab a little bit of wood. Now the way you do that is, if the chisel's sitting on the tool rest, right on the flat part, and you move it over to the side, keeping it on the flat part, the blade automatically angles. Straighten up the blade to where it's plumb. Go up high, catch a little bit of material, and go in. And then you'll get nice crisp clean lines there. You won't corkscrew. If you lean it out too much, you'll corkscrew. If you don't lean it out enough, you won't cut anything. You'll just kick out of the cut. So anyway, we'll let that work. Now I'm going to just go down to measurement here that's a little bit larger than what the finished tenon's going to be. The finished tenon, like I said, is 5/8. I've got this, I think, at a heavy 11/16, I believe. And I'm going to use a parting tool here, so I'm going to go up pretty high. Parting tool works better at high speed, at least for me it does. Then I'll crank it back down. I like to turn about right there with the gouge. So this is going to be a taper, concave taper. So I start down here at the end where you're removing the most material. You want to cut up high, feel where the bevel is, engage the blade, and that's where you try to stay. You'll have a tendency to lift it up like that, but try to stay high. Watch out how much you cut here. You'll get a little dip that's ugly if you cut too much. Okay, now I'll get the skew chisel, and now you could, since I'm going to put a spoke shave finish on it, you could go ahead and stop right here and then eventually clean it up with the spoke shave. But I usually will have to take 2 passes with the spoke shave to clean up those gouge marks. So if I run the skew chisel across it, then I can get by with 1 spoke shave cut. So that's what I'll do right now. So getting the skew started here is the only real tricky part, and that is you're trying to start it right there at the corner coming out of that V-cut, and there's no bearing surface to put the bevel on. So you've got to start in with the heel and then pull the heel out of it. And it's gotten more difficult as years go by because my eyesight gets worse and I can't see that corner quite as good as I used to. And then you also got to be able to switch hands when you do this, which makes it a little harder. Okay, now we're ready to put it in the kiln, so let's go over there. Okay, ready to go in the kiln. And so there's the center stretcher. And there's the side stretchers. Now, I've wrapped aluminum foil around them for two reasons. One is, even though they've been sitting out there for a long time, that piece of wood, it had a little bit of moisture in it. I could just tell by the weight, by the feel of it. And so I don't want to take a chance on it checking with me, so wrap aluminum foil around it. And the other reason is keep the mortise from drying out so much, although it's a lot thicker than the end, and there's probably no chance of that, but I still wrap aluminum foil around it. So we've got the tenons sized about a 1/16 large, and I'll leave it in here probably for at least 2 days and super dry these, and then when I pull it back out, I'll turn them to exact size, and then we'll be ready to put the chair together. So open up my kiln. Kiln runs off of 2 light bulbs, 200-watt light bulbs, and it's running probably about 140 or 150 right now. So. There we go.